little delay there. Anyhow, great to have you join me this morning. And what we're looking at today is the idea of the third way. And the third way is always such a beautiful thing to consider. And it's this idea that the human mind, we tend to break things into binaries. It's this or it's that. It's black or it's white. And in our lives, we're actually asked a lot of the time to think a little differently, to not think out of those stark binaries, but to think instead towards a third way. And that's where moral imagination comes in. That's where a lot of different approaches to life can be open, and we find ourselves a lot more curious, a lot more willing to listen, to hear, to involve ourselves in new ways. And God is constantly doing this third way thing, all the time. And the one of the primary stories about it, one you probably all know pretty well, is the story of the woman caught in adultery. Jesus doesn't excuse it, and at the same time, he doesn't judge it harshly. So there's this element of this beautiful judgment where he says, "Go and sin no more," but he clearly is pointing all the people involved in that away from what they were doing, which was capital punishment. So it's just interesting, always finding this third way, this way of moral imagination. And there's a line here in this piece of Christian New Church theology that talks about God in that way, and it's talking about how what is God really wanting? What is God's desire? And this is from the book Secrets of Heaven, 1812. And what we're offered here is this idea. God never fought out of self-love for his own sake, but for everyone in the universe. He did not want to become greatest in heaven because this is contrary to divine love. He hardly even wanted to become least. All he wanted was for everyone to make something of themselves and be saved. And there you can, that word saved sort of lands on modern ears a little strangely sometimes, think be healed. And it's really an incredibly beautiful concept here, folks. What this is offering us is, again, another way of seeing the third way. And there's many different directions we can come at it. And this is one that I find really powerful that's spelled out here. And that's that idea that with God, and we're supposed to, again, in our own very imperfect, very, very, very imperfect ways, try to mirror this as best we can, which will be incredibly imperfectly. But be that as it may, it's this idea that God's not interested in like being way above everyone, nor is God interested in being way below everyone. God's interested in this. God's interested in this. Just read it for you again. Wants everyone to make something of themselves and be saved, be healed. That's beautiful. And so should our lives be. We should, as best we can, not aspire to be number one. I mean, that's kind of an easy one, but we also shouldn't like think, sort of this false debasement of like, oh no, I am nothing, I'm zero, I'm zilch. That's not the name of the game either. That gets a little boring, actually, after a while. The third way is like it's not about a pyramid where we're ranking ourselves or we're at the top or the bottom. It's sort of shoving that aside, saying that's not the conversation in the spiritual realm. The conversation in the spiritual realm is this idea of meaning, this idea of, are we out there helping people to make something out of their lives as best we can, help in a way that is not sort of a dictatorial or top down, but a way that's really there to serve them as the service would be of help to them. And the other part is help people find healing like as best we can. We talked about that a bit yesterday. And you see that third way: no to hierarchy, yes to service. No to hierarchy, yes to service. And it's a task orientation, and Christian church theology always comes back to that. Doctrine divides, charity unites, and that idea that when we shift over into the action of actually doing things, that's where things get clear, because we're out of the binary game. We're into the service game. So that's the takeaway for us today, and it's a little bit of deep theology, but I think it's pretty understandable and awfully practical. Which is, if you're worried about, are you the best, are you the least, are you number one, are you number 500? That's not really the question. It's how can you serve today? How can you serve as best you can, as humbly as you can, in many of the small ways that all of us can? How can you do that today? That's the thought. So, friends, I hope that makes a lot of sense. I think it's a pretty little cool piece of theology. And the third way is third way is way beyond just Christian New Church. That's an ancient Christian concept that Jesus is always talking about, a third way. So, Friends, let's shift now. And what we're going to shift now to do is to have a little peace and quiet, a little meditation. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to do a little prayer, a little blessing, and after the prayer and the blessing and the meditation, we'll say hi to folks on social media. So with that, friends, let's all get a big breath and listen to the waves. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's give a little cheery hello to folks here who have managed to join us online. All right, let's get a little refresher there. Okay. Oh, sorry, it's not showing up captions here. All right, let's try. Let's try a different page. We're definitely having some internet issues down in the Vero Beach area. Just FYI. All right. Well, folks, doesn't look like it's going to cooperate with me. We've been having some internet and phone issues down here. So anyhow, just God bless. Wishing all of you all of the best. May you have a beautiful, wonderful, amazing day. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.